Welcome to 2 cents short of a dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz. I'm Rue. Today, what we want to talk about is the Thursday night fight, and that's not SmackDown. That is that's Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. Came on a Thursday night, which is very weird. I think it had something to do with the Grand Prix going on over the weekend. But
Formula One.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, exactly. Formula One. That's what it was. So, nevertheless, I stayed up late on a Thursday to watch this fight. Man, I was left speechless. So, just tell me what you saw, how you felt about the fight.
All right. So, one, I think we're probably on the same page. It was lackluster. I would say it was not necessarily the fight we were anticipating when we talk about excitement. I think they broke a record, right? Least punches thrown ever.
I think nobody landed double-digit punches any round.
Absolutely. So, I was like, man, that's kind of crazy. So I thought it would be more of a firefight at times, and I didn't really see anything. I thought it might be some moments of reminiscence of Shakur fighting Jermaine. I forget the guy's last name. Where Shakur had a few flash knockdowns, but he was really wary of his opponent's power, and people kind of gave him flack then, like, hey, he's a boring fighter. But this fight in particular was really like, and it wasn't just only Shakur, it was also De Los Santos as well. There was moments where, they're both trying to counter each other and they're just sitting there. They're not really trying to throw. They're not trying to be overly aggressive on both sides. So, I mean, a bit of disappointment in terms of what my expectations were initially going into the fight, but I also understand because I do know what Shakur's style is. So, at the end of the day, I know he's just trying to get the win, with or without an injury. So, what are your thoughts?
And I think the fight you might be referring to is the Nakatila fight, where it's
that's his last name, Nakatila. Yep.
A bit of an awkward puncher, has some power. But now in this fight, man, I can't lie. I thought this was a horrible performance.
Terrible.
For both of them. It's probably magnified for Shakur because, of course, Shakur is the bigger name, but Shakur's also Mr. Oh, I'm the boogeyman. Nobody wants to fight me. Nobody wants to see me. So when you talk like that, there's expectations put on your name, and then when you come into the fight, and then the crazy thing is, like, De Los Santos would like feint at him, and Shakur's all the way across the ring, and I'm just like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And Shakur is known as an excellent defensive fighter, but it's like sometimes is what I guess where he's gotten that rep is been able to stand in there and make you miss, master of distance, make you miss and counter you. But he wasn't even really looking to counter in this fight. He was just looking to completely get out of dodge, which was crazy. And then De Los Santos, for him, I feel like awareness is key, right? When the opening bell rang, De Los Santos should have known he's already down 2-0 because Shakur is supposed to win this fight. It leads to everything, like all the bigger fights per se. So De Los Santos should have known as soon as the opening bell rang, all right, I'm already down 2 rounds. I got to get on him. And there was times where it's like, he closed the distance, but he never struck me as someone hungry for the win. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
I thought it was horrible on both ends. I think they were booing from the second round to the 12th round. Like, it was a long night of boos.
Yeah, they were definitely booing. It was just the lack of action, you know, and it was crazy because it probably seemed like, and I understand like the mental game that they both was playing. I get it, right? Because when you're trying to think 3 steps ahead, but this is a perfect example when you're thinking too much and your body's not necessarily responding, right? And like you mentioned, Shakur, when you talk like that, you got to show it. You can't just necessarily be like, oh, I'm gonna F you up, during the face off and then come out and show out like this. Right. But I appreciate his honesty, when he said, he didn't have a great performance. He had a bad performance and he just got to go back to the drawing board. He didn't feel like his best, but because there were moments where I expected him to still get off like he does in this previous couple fights, but he just never threw like certain punches. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, it's just like, he just kind of stood there, just jabbed, all right, let me get up out of here. It was a bit odd. They're suspecting it was an injury. Like when they was talking to him, like, why didn't you throw that throw that
The
that
left.
left hand down the pipe. You know, it seemed like you didn't, but he was like, there's no excuses. So he don't make no excuses. I ain't gonna make no excuses for him. He just gotta be better. So
Yeah, but I guess this is probably gonna be the controversial statement now. I don't know that Shakur won that fight. That
I'm gonna
is
be honest. The fight was way closer than I think because there's a lot of swing rounds. That's what it is. There's a lot of swing rounds that could have potentially went either way. There was some rounds that Shakur just landed a bit more and made him miss more. But depending on how you gauge the fight, bro, it's not like Shakur washed De Los Santos. You know what I mean?
bro, I think it could have easily been a draw. I even think
Yeah,
they could have made a case for De Los Santos. Like you said, they were all swing, not all, but mostly swing rounds. I think they were more swing rounds than not swing rounds. You know what I'm saying? Which was why
absolutely,
it's like, all right,
absolutely.
what is this? And I texted you during the fight too. I'm like, or maybe I texted you the next day, but I'm like, yo, I don't think they didn't give De Los Santos credit for the body shots because he would like feint, kind of half step with the feint, then come in there, and a good amount of those landed right here. And of course, it did no damage at all. But it's technically a point. You know what I'm
Point.
saying?
Yeah,
And and when the copy box was coming out, like they didn't show it every round, but the rounds they were showing it, I'm like, nah. That's it's not that. I'm like,
yeah.
I couldn't see it. I'm like, no, there's no way it's this wide. I'm like, Shakur's not landing. Neither of them
Yeah.
are landing. How's
The
the gap this
CompuBox
wide?
be inaccurate though. It's definitely is very it be inaccurate.
And then one thing I thought they did that I think they did on purpose, they kept showing jabs landed, which Shakur was leading, but they never really showed body shots. You know, and sometimes they'll show body shots because I think De Los Santos was landing a lot of the body shots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I think even if you go back and watch it, there's just some moments too where he lands some jabs too. I just think, like you said, it was lackluster on both ends. But I really don't even know if anybody won. I think it could have been a draw, and it's not a draw because they fought to a draw. It's like a draw because nobody. But on a serious note, no, it was a boring fight. But I really don't know if Shakur won the fight. Honestly, I think it could have been a draw. Obviously, like I said, he came in 2 rounds to none when it
Yeah.
started. So
Yeah.
that's why I couldn't understand why De Los Santos never just like, all right, hit urgency. I got to just rush him, run down on him, no matter what, and
Yeah.
just start.
Make it an ugly fight, you know?
You know what I'm saying? Like the later the fight got, that didn't happen. But I mean, and we're not the only people who thought it was a boring fight because Devin Haney was like, all right, this bum. I should have offered him 10%,
10%.
25% is too much for him.
Yeah, yeah. But I ain't gonna lie, Devin Haney can't be talking like that because he's had fights where it was like,
I
bro,
don't
like
think he's
people
ever
could
had a
criticize.
fight that boring.
Not that boring, but he's had fights that's well worth the criticism. Like you've hugged the nigga for literally 4 rounds straight, right? So
Yeah,
someone could also say, well, that was boring. Yeah, it may not have been to the degree of Shakur, but it's still within the same realm, right? So,
yeah,
I mean, but that's just because they both clearly, are beefing, right? They're both having a feud against each other.
yeah,
And I mean, at the end of the day, and I think Shakur's that fighter, though, he's more likely to have boring fights because of his style, right? He's gonna make his opponents, unless they're like a top tier fighter, he's gonna make his opponents miss a lot of the times. Now it's just really up to him to make them pay. If he's not really throwing,
yeah.
most of his fights looks like how it looked this past Thursday. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's crazy because like you say, if you make him miss, you got to make him pay. But he's not making anybody pay because people accuse Mayweather of having a boring style, right? But once he made you miss, it may have not been thudding or knockout, but there were counters coming. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Something was coming back once he made you miss. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was crazy. All the hype, the build up. He came out with Terrence Crawford, Andre Ward, Floyd came to see him in the back. The way he talked, I just feel like you got to do more than this. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I thought this was crazy. But like you said, he didn't really make any excuses, but he did say, like, he wasn't really feeling it. But something's off when people start coming out on your end and start, saying stuff like Jared Anderson's like, oh, Devin Haney, wait till we catch you outside. I'm just like, what in the world? But it's just like over him criticizing Shakur. Shakur criticizes him too, you know what I'm saying? So how
Right.
you gonna come out there and like that don't even make any sense, you know what I'm saying? Wait till we catch you outside
Right.
and
Yeah, he
Like,
just got arrested, so he felt like he got his stripes. He like, yeah,
it's
I'm
like
about
it's like
to
what are
I'm
you
about to
doing?
get
And
him.
then
I'm about to get at him.
yeah, and it's like y'all not gonna fight. You're a heavyweight. Devin Haney's not gonna fight you. You know what I'm saying? But like
Yep.
the boxes with the street stuff is crazy because you might really be from that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doubting it, but and like even like Regis's strength and conditioning trainer was saying Devin might be maybe he is a private school kid. But I tell you one thing for sure: there's somebody in Devin Haney's camp on his payroll that needs that money to feed their family. And if you do something to Devin Haney and you take the money out their pocket from them feeding their family, all right, that person's not a
Yeah,
private school kid, okay? That
yeah.
person,
He's willing to
yeah,
take one for the team, And nowadays,
yeah,
people don't necessarily look to fight anymore, right? So
yeah. So I think I think
it's
they gotta
dangerous
cool it.
times.
I think they gotta cool it with all the street stuff. I say the same thing about Tank. Sometimes like what Tank's like, what? Yeah, don't make me be knocking on your front door. I'm like, what are you talking about right now? What are you talking about?
Yeah, Tank be wilding too sometimes, but
Yeah, so I
yeah,
mean, so now Shakur's the WBC champion. I guess it. So a question that actually arose for me, or after that fight is so Loma versus Kambosos. I think is going to be the next fight, right? I think everybody has
yeah, it's
heard that.
rumored.
Is that going to be for a championship? Because I'm guessing obviously Devin got stripped of all the belts.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about. I know he got stripped by the WBC first, but I'm also under the assumption that he got stripped by all the belts, right? As well, especially since he's about to fight Regis or whatnot, which makes the most sense in the world, right? I don't know why these fighters are moving up, fighting, and then able to retain their belts when they can come back. No, I think once you fight and you sign the contract, you should be stripped of all your belts in the previous weight class. Period. But yeah, so I guess they're going to be fighting for a title if they did in fact strip him. I just don't know what title it's going to be for, right? So
So I
if that
guess
does happen, the winner could potentially fight Shakur
in a
Stevenson because I know,
unification.
they want to unify, and I know Shakur has been calling out Loma, and it's anyone in their right mind, any sensible human being will probably have Loma beating um, uh,
Kambosos.
Kambosos, right? Anything can happen, right? But the likelihood is pretty
Yeah.
high.
Man, I'm not gonna like, of course I'm not gonna come out and know it. Oh, Shakur is trash because he's not, right? But I think some people are gonna reconsider because everyone was saying how bad he's gonna do Loma and all this. I think some people are gonna reconsider their opinion now, though.
Absolutely, you know
Because
how
one,
people are.
one thing
People,
for
people,
sure, Loma
what
might
they say.
Loma might start slow as well. Most fights he didn't do it last fight. Most fights he may start slow, but if you give him that much time, eventually he's gonna come in and with offense. He's not gonna just stay out there the whole fight and not fight you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I think the only thing that really kind of works in Shakur Stevenson's favor is he sparred Loma numerous of times,
yeah,
right? Yeah, it's been years since, but he has the experience. He kind of understands what it's like to be in the ring with Loma,
yeah,
which is an advantage that he has over Devin Haney. So
mm,
I think it will work, but I think a traditional make him miss a move doesn't really work on Loma. Loma's pretty unconventional.
yeah,
So you know what I
yeah,
mean? Especially with his great performance against Devin Haney and beating Devin Haney, but just not getting it on the scorecards. But yeah,
yeah.
we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, one thing I'm gonna end this topic with though is crazy because Pitbull Cruz, who probably right now the best undercard in boxing, right?
Mhm.
Like if it's a Pitbull on your undercard, he's coming out swinging, he's going for the gusto, he's gonna try to knock you out. It's
Right.
crazy that Shakur's like, yeah, he's ducking me, and then I think this trainer has said, listen, nobody wants to fight you and chase you around for 12 rounds. It's boring. We're trying to put on a show, and I just think that's crazy because like that's what just happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and then this is another big puncher. So I guess maybe we need to. Well, Pitbull, I would say, is a big puncher. So
Yeah.
I guess we got to see Shakur against maybe another big puncher for sample size to see if this is going to be him against every big puncher because that poses a huge problem when you're saying the ultimate fight for you is Tank,
Yeah.
probably the biggest puncher in that
Yeah.
weight class.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Of course, Tank is on another level, right? But that can play a role, right? In negotiations as well, right? Like in terms of it being a potential mega fight,
Yeah,
right? Are the masses interested in that fight now, right? Does that kind of deter the masses and wanting that fight, right? So,
Yeah.
only time will tell, man. Only time will tell.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us what you guys think in the comments. You know, did you stay up for the whole fight? Did you fall asleep? Who do you think won the fight, actually, Shakur or Edwin De Los Santos? What do you want to see next for each of them?